It's going to be a very interesting conversation. So we're looking forward for 1 hour of this session.
Thank you very much, Vivek and Muriel, and Talk 100.3, and of course the Tally, which is part of me from my more than 20 years back. Tally version 1, I have used it, and now it's Tally Prime
3.0.
Yes.
But yeah, we are discussing about IFRS as well. लेकिन उसके पहले quickly आपको हम CA हेमंत मुंद्रा के बारे में थोड़ा बहुत जो है बताते हैं. Now, CA Hemant Mundra has been in Dubai for more than 20 years. He's the managing partner of The Total CFO. He has around 30 years of experience as chartered accountant and management accountant in various industries and corporate groups. He has hands-on understanding of profitability and cost drivers, ERP implementation, restructuring of debts, contracts management and risk management and compliance of local laws. Now he has grossed up savings and increase in approximately 47.5 million USD in his career so far. I think this deserves a big round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, CA Hemant, let's quickly get to the conversation. Now, what is IFRS, or rather, what are IFRS?
IFRS are accounting standards or standards in any industry. So this is the standards for accounting and financial reporting, so that there is a consistency and comparability. And so the investors, lenders, creditors can take informed decision based on. This has been issued, many IFRS or many accounting standards has been issued way back in 1975 by the International Accounting Standards Board. Now it's into the 50th year of its formation. The standards are growing as the economy demands more compliance, more reporting, more transparency.
And this is worldwide applied, or is it certain countries use this method and certain organizations use this?
It's intended for all the countries to adopt it. As of now, 140 countries have accepted and adopted it. Many have converged their own national accounting standards towards it, except USA. USA has its own accounting standards, GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles.
Nice.
So this is where acceptability of these standards lies.
And what's the difference? If you have to compare the two, what would be the difference?
Say the basic difference is IFRS is based on principles. So that means interpretation judgments are there for the wider economy to choose from. USA GAAP standards are generally rule based, so that everyone follows the particular pattern, and that's what USA believes, considering its economic size and the way they would like to be. And of course, I can say on the lighter side, they always want to be different and big.
But also, does it guarantee in terms of, accounting standard reporting, does it guarantee any type of transparency? Because you've seen a lot of, things really going wrong. For example, 2009 issues and, so many financial scams or downfalls that happen. So does it guarantee GAAP or IFRS? In terms of accounting reporting?
No one can guarantee anything, because at every point we human beings are involved. Right. So our integrity and application of that and intention is important. But it has evolved and many things have not happened. That's why only few things have happened because of these standards. And that's why investors have more confidence in putting their money into a company. And that's the whole purpose of these standards. Like SMEs, when we talk about, they need more money than anyone else, because SMEs has to grow and go into the larger corporations. How will they grow? They need money. So why will me and you or an institution will invest in SMEs?
Correct.
When their accounting is done properly, they follow comparability. So if they follow it, then money will flow into the SMEs and they will grow. That's the whole purpose.
Nice.
And if you're talking about language and vocabulary of IFRS, now what is the language and vocabulary that is used?
See, language, it has been translated into more than 10 languages, like Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Ukrainian, all these languages.
Hindi also?
No, Hindi not so far, because India has converged. India has not adopted the IFRS. So they have adapted their standards to IFRS, bearing few things which is typical to Indian economy. So they have kept it at that. And Hindi, of course, is not been translated. So this is the language part of it. Now, vocabulary, every industry has its own terms and phrases.
Correct.
So if you don't use it, the two people from different walks of life cannot understand each other. Say example, if I say Talk and Tally is a company. Talk and Tally is an entity.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Or is establishment.
Correct.
But in a IFRS-based vocabulary, it's a reporting entity. So when I say, and you will know that Hemant knows about IFRS when I say it's a reporting entity.
Correct.
Right. And you've used this phrase somewhere, so if you could just put context to it. Now, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and you keep saying this time and over again. How would you add context and value to this?
See, like we can talk about that IFRS has to be used, and it's not compulsory before the introduction of the corporate tax to be used. But to raise finance from banks, they only accept the intentionally accepted accounting principle, which is IFRS.
Right.
Now corporate tax has come. So corporate tax has defined that they will only accept IFRS based accounting income as the beginning point of filing the tax return. That's one part. And they have also limited that every company having a turnover of more than 50 million, or the companies in free zone who are qualifying free zone, they have to get their accounts audited. So an auditor will not issue a unqualified report if your accounts are not complying with IFRS. If that be so, then how will you raise money? Why will the bank give you working capital? And even if they give you, the cost of capital will be very high. That means detrimental to the business of SMEs.
So, if you would have to term this, IFRS is the backbone of UAE corporate tax, or would it be the heart of UAE corporate or the full body?
Is the beginning point of it, and it pervades throughout the corporate tax. The beginning point of calculating your taxable income on which you will pay tax is your accounting income, which is based on IFRS based accounts preparation. So it's the beginning point. And more so in this year when each and every company is implementing the corporate tax. The first balance sheet has to comply with IFRS to be accepted by the authorities.
Right. CA Hemant, we will continue this conversation.
Talk 100.3.
Break up सुन रहे विवेक एंड म्यूरल आपके साथ एंड वी आर कंटिन्यूइंग द कन्वर्सेशन विद सीए हेमंत मुंद्रा. नाउ आईएफआरएस की हम बात कर रहे हैं, द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ आईएफआरएस ऑन यूएई कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स एंड ऑफ कोर्स फाइनेंशियल प्रोफेशनल्स टू अपस्किल एज वेल.
Right now, CA Hemant, we are talking about IFRS. If you have to say that IFRS has influenced corporate tax laws of the UAE and not the other way round, what would you say?
Yes, definitely, because UAE government and the authorities have relied on IFRS-based account as part of their corporate tax law to take it as the beginning point of calculating the taxable income. And then all the other rest of the follows before you pay the tax on your income. So it is at the heart of the UAE corporate tax.
Right. And how can companies upskill themselves? I think this has been one of the major points and focus of discussion today. How do we upscale ourselves? How do accounting professionals upscale themselves?
First and foremost, they have to read the IFRS Bare standard, and then they have to interpret, join together, understand, come together like they have done it for the VAT laws and excise laws and ESR and everything, and then accumulate the knowledge and then use it, because now it's no excuse. Earlier your accounts could have been wrong even if you have not implemented IFRS particular principle or standard properly. But now if you do a wrong, it's directly going to affect your taxable income, means tax authorities are going to look into it deeply.
Right. The thing is, upskilling, clearly what I understand from CA Hemant is that you need a qualified CA helps, otherwise it is mission impossible. As an accountant, as a business owner, it's going to be quite tough if you are to understand the implications of corporate tax.
Yes, qualified chartered accountant, ACCA, or anyone into the finance profession need to have a knowledge of it. Even if you're not qualified, you have to read the IFRS. But the advantage with the qualified chartered accountants, they are oriented towards it. They have been living this from the time they have qualified. They have been part of it. So easy to assimilate, easy to interpret, easy to implement and get it executed.
Right. And what would you say, comes over each other? Is it corporate tax over IFRS or IFRS over corporate tax?
So basically, Muriel is asking what came first,
the chicken or the egg?
This time, of course, IFRS came first to be on the lighter side because it was introduced way back in 1973 in different form. Corporate tax in UAE has just come, so to say, but tax has been around in international arena for long. And in UAE, they have taken IFRS as a very basis of being able to establish the truthfulness and faithfulness of the reported income.
So we have clarified that IFRS has come first.
Yes.
Now, why? Of course, because globally accepted standards is what we need. How did it come into picture, IFRS?
It was decided that different entities report their different income, revenue, expenses in different the way they would like. And even among the same industry, different companies used to report their revenues and expenses the way they would like to promote the purpose they would like to promote. And as an investor, when you want to invest in a company, you have no comparability and you don't know whether the accounts are truthful or correct. So that's the basis of it. Let's have a common standard where each company or each country who adopts it reports every item in a comparable way as far as possible. And that's the basis of evolution of the accounting standards or any standard, whether ISOs or any other standards, health and safety standards you can take.
How many standards are there? There are many accounting reporting standards?
Yeah, there are more than 40 plus.
You know, we got a question from CA Pankaj. He's asking, is it only Indian chartered accountants or from other countries who also know about IFRS?
Yes, anyone who knows about IFRS.
There are a lot of chartered accountants from other countries as well who know about it.
Yes. Rather, those who have come from India recently, they may be only aware of the Indian accounting standards, which is more 90% same as IFRS. But the numbers, the paras are different, though the theme and the topic and the concepts are the same. Rather, they have to acclimatize the Indian chartered accountants. But Indian chartered accountants living in UAE for long and other countries' chartered accountants, they know the IFRS because they have been using it even without the corporate tax in UAE.
Right. Now, CA Hemant, if you could talk to us a little bit about before the corporate tax was enforced, right? So everybody practiced their own set of rules and regulations where accounting was, was in place. Now moving forward, how do they have to learn or probably unlearn a couple of methods to so that they stay fit where the corporate tax is concerned?
See, like UAE, without the corporate tax, because everyone has to go to the banks and institutions to raise funds, and they only accept accounts prepared on the internationally accepted accounting standards. So IFRS has been used, though not mandated.
Okay.
And this was the only standard which was widely used. The skill sets were available, people with knowledge were available. So UAE has indirectly already implemented IFRS.
Okay.
But since it was not mandated, and those companies which do not have to go to banks or the market to raise money, they could have done their own accounting policies where it fits into them. But now the choice is gone.
Superb, yeah.
In talking about components of taxable income computation, could you talk a little bit about this, please?
See, taxable income begins with your accounting income as per IFRS prepared accounts.
Right.
Then, of course, you will claim certain deductions which are allowed specifically in the tax laws. You will add back those deductions which are not allowed in the tax laws. You will reduce your exempt income because that's not taxable. Then your transfer pricing adjustments and other adjustments, you have to also do the adjustment. And then various reliefs which are available, also you will take advantage of that. And last but not the least, the tax losses also you will take into account. When you put all this together, you arrive at your taxable income, on which you will take out 375,000, which has been mentioned many times on this show, and the remaining one you have to pay 9%.
Superb. You know, we understand so much of thing, but the mindset, I was speaking to a friend during this weekend and he has a business, and I was asking him, how are you preparing yourself? There is still time depending on the calendar accounting year. But he was saying that, I have outsourced it, and, there are so many ways that, you can actually take help from the professionals around. In terms of a business owner, he's very relaxed is what I found out. It's not much of a heavy burden for a lot of business owners. Would you agree on this?
Yeah, that's our normal human nature. We always do things on the nick of time.
Right.
And everyone has a pattern. You may have met a business owner who has this pattern of preparing things nick on time. Suppose if I would have been that business owner, I would have prepared well in advance. So it's a personal nature. If you are in control of whether you can implement and comply with the requirement, then it's fine. Of course, people are comparing the corporate tax implementation with the VAT implementation. But they have to remember that VAT was every quarter generally. Corporate tax, you have the whole year plus the 9 months before you have to file your return, you have to pay your tax. But transactions happen every day. You record it every day. Audit trail is established every day. That means you can't amend it later on. So better to plan right now, holistically, and so that you are aware how much I have to pay. And every business owner has to remember, VAT was collected from their customers. It was not coming out of their pocket. Corporate tax is going to come out of the entity's pocket.
Correct.
Right, and actually taking a leaf from what Vivek said, he asked you a couple of questions right now. Moving on from that, in terms of corporate tax now, when you're saying I have outsourced it to another firm, how important is it for the owner or for people working in his organization to understand the concept where corporate tax is concerned, so that they know that they're not being foxed around, or they know the kind of implications and the kind of paperwork that will go into it?
See, like business owners have to understand their business for sure. They only understand it. Any CFOs, which are the employees, or the consultants, which are outsourced or experts outsourced, support what they understand and what they convey. Just like it is said that a business owner has to know how to read a balance sheet. He may not know how to prepare a balance sheet, but he has to know how to read a balance sheet. Same way, business owner has to know that what is in it for its business and how much he has to pay out. And the number can be big if you apply 9% to a bigger base. That much the cash outgo he has to sell out. So business owner has to understand overall that his transactions and the implication of it right now based on his 2023 accounts.
We'll continue the conversation with CA Hemant Mundra. अगर आपके पास भी सवाल है, you can send us a WhatsApp 0586861003.
Talk 100.3.
Welcome back to Daybreak with Vivek Sanal and myself, Murali Desa. And yes, this is Talk Compliance in association with Tally Solutions, and we are joined by CA Hemant Mundra, Managing Partner at the Total CFO Management Consultancy.
So, sir, हम जानना चाहते हैं, what is the entry point at which IFRS plays its part with regard to UAE corporate tax?
Entry point is your first balance sheet, which you prepare on your accounting year beginning on or after 1st June 2023. Generally, for the purpose of clarity and understanding, is you assume that most of the companies have accounting beginning from January 2024, the Gregorian calendar. So your 2023 closing balances, all the assets and liabilities, have to be looked into and either restated as per the requirement of the corporate tax and accounting standards. And in this, the arm's length principle, the transfer pricing with the related party transactions plays a very big part.
Right. Now, CA Hemant, also, when VAT was introduced, right, we had this complete sort of a hiccup in terms of businesses, how they were functioning, because we've seen that non-VAT to VAT phase. It's been over 6 years now. Do you foresee something like that with the corporate tax is concerned?
It will be similar, if not same, because people will think that I will do the things at the end, let me understand it, still the clarification has not come. So this will be there. But the helter-skelter like the VAT may not be applicable to corporate tax because the length of time given is 9 months after your accounting year end. VAT is on day-to-day transaction, which is on the top line, and your taxable tax which you pay to the government is in your bottom line. But I foresee similar things will be there if the intensity will be less.
Also there is now this concept, right? If I meddle around with my numbers, maybe I could pocket in a few extra dirhams.
Tax evasion is what you're talking about?
Yeah, I just put it in a better way. How would you want, or rather, what do you talk to individuals like that into saying staying transparent is the best way forward?
See, like I've seen and I've observed, and I observed myself also, because I come from India, where the tax rates I have seen as high as 95% when I was growing up. Now it has come down to as low as 25% plus few percentage. Now, when the tax rate of UAE is 9%, and I still carry on the mindset of, oh, I am paying so huge amount of tax, and I was able to save tax by tax evasion means or not being truthful and transparent. Why one has to do it when the tax rate is 9%
Only.
And the logic given by all of us where in the countries where tax rate is high, that what am I getting back from the government? The facilities are not there, the infrastructure is not there, no benefit is there. But why will you do in UAE? Everything has been given to you for years and years, at least 30 years I have seen. Now is only 9% they are asking for it after all the adjustments and reliefs and benefits. I don't think anyone should look at tax evasion. Of course, they should look at properly planning their tax if they are operating in
Tax
more than one
planning,
country.
yeah.
Tax planning, everyone must do.
But I think it comes as, we're talking about the nature of a human. We come across as the nature of a business owner as well. Cost cutting, maximizing profit. This is the mindset everyone has.
Yes, and
Maybe that angle is what mindset shift needs to be done.
A miser? That's what you're saying. That's what you're
Juice is
getting
what you're
at.
saying? No, not all business owners are conjuice.
like this is where like this show, which is the Compliance Maestro show, which brings in experts to harp upon this point, and the CFOs in-house of a company or the tax experts like us who deal with the owners and the decision makers of the companies, we have to harp upon that. It's all about compliance right now.
Correct.
And don't carry this mindset of that plan it out, I don't want to pay any tax. I have received one dictum like that. Okay, Hemant, plan it out, I don't want to pay any tax.
Right.
So I have kept quiet.
Okay.
I said when the time will come, I will orient and
Right.
make him, the company, the compliant with the tax laws.
Also, now, if you're going to be talking about multinational firms, yes, they already have their accounting books in place. But if you're going to be talking to a layperson or a family or business oriented, very small enterprise even, who don't understand the functionalities of accounting or of taxing, for them, corporate tax is a complete huge subject to deal with. And it's a kind of they see it as a blow, but the profits are concerned. How would you term this?
See, UAE, when it formulated the tax laws and the other ministerial decisions and cabinet decision which came out, has given enough relief to a small business. And I say small means in terms of revenue. In terms of their ideas and product, they may be very big or they will become big. So if you are concerned about not paying any tax, you claim a small business relief.
Right.
If your revenue turnover is up to 3 million in a year. Correct. And if you are an individual like me and you, if we are doing business and if our revenue is less than 1 million, we don't even have to register for the corporate tax. So 1 million for the individual, 3 million for a small business. Beyond that only you have to pay tax. What more?
You're agreeing with this. It's a fair value for small business. 3 million.
Yes, it's a fair value for a small business, because if the 30% is your net profit rate or 20% is your net profit, you are earning close to 1 million in a year.
Right.
So do we see the 9% increasing to maybe a 15% in the future?
I am not the decision maker for this. These are based on various facts and other considerations, and based on the VAT rate which UAE has hold still, in spite of Saudi Arabia increasing it to 15%. I don't see it is increasing beyond 9% in distant future also. My perception, disclaimer included.
No, we'll continue the conversation with CA Hemant. अगर आपके पास भी सवाल, you can send us a WhatsApp 0586861003.
Talk 100.3.
Welcome back to Daybreak with Vivek Sanal and myself, Amir Alisa. And yes, it is known as Talk Compliance this hour. Brought to you by Shali Solutions. We are joined by CA Hemant Mundra, Managing Partner, the Total CFO Management Consultancy.
We've got a question. इस वक्त एक वॉइस नोट आया है, तो हम सुनते हैं, फिर आंसर देंगे CA Hemant.
I want to ask Mr. Hemant, I have a e-commerce license and it's very small. It's second year of the license in Sharjah Free Zone. but it's hardly making any profit because it's just part-time working. So I just want to ask, I don't think I have to give any tax, but still I have to register for the corporate tax. If yes, how can I register it myself without spending any money on the consultants and all this, because they are asking for the huge money. So how can I register with the corporate tax? Please advise.
ये हरदेव का हमें मैसेज, मैं सीए हरदेव बोलने वाला.
Okay, the answer is simple. Everyone who is doing a business in UAE have to register for corporate tax, except individuals doing business and their income is less than 1 million. Now, in your case, if it is more than 2 years company, you may have registered for VAT. Then registering for corporate tax is a matter of 10 minutes. But if you haven't registered for VAT, there are tutorial videos available which you can go. There are webinars and seminars organized by the Federal Tax Authority which you can attend if you want to do everything on your own. And if the consultants are asking for too much money to register, find a consultant for long term who can serve you better. Then the cost will be less and he will handhold you so that you remain compliant with the tax laws, including corporate tax, ESR and everything throughout the term. That's a better way than thinking to do on your own. That's my advice.
And also quickly, we wanted to know about this in terms of preparing an account report. Do I need to, if I have a small business relief anyways and is not making any money, do I need to prepare the balance sheet? Do I need to prepare those reports?
Like without the corporate tax, without anything, if one is doing a business, like even a household who is running his house, they have to maintain the details of their expenses and income to be in control of it. So if every business wants to be in control, they have to prepare the accounts. That's the self-regulated one. Corporate tax put the onus on everyone who is in business to keep the accounts, to keep the transaction, to keep the documents.
But a lot of businesses, if you notice, they are here only to get a residency visa. A lot of people are here, especially free zone companies offer this, and they hardly have any transactions. Where do they go? Because they are making 100 dirhams, let's say, or 200 dirhams a year, which is very negligible. For them to even invest in terms of preparing an accounting report is asking for too much.
Yeah, good. So that's the reason corporate tax will make them evaluate their business model, whether it makes sense to give more money on compliance than to only have a company for residence visa purpose, change their model, or find another way to be a resident of UAE than relying on the company formation. So everyone will take a deep dive and arrive at a conclusion: compliance cost versus operational cost versus their objective of residence visa, if that's the only criteria.
Amazing, huh?
Now, see, Hemant, you also mentioned a while ago in context components of taxable income about unrealized gain or loss forming part of taxable income, and one which finally pays the 9%, that's the corporate tax rate. If that be so, how can one shell out 9% on something which one has not yet received in reality?
Yeah, that's a very big question and also a big responsibility and big burden on the companies, because accounts are prepared as per the accounting
Accrual
standard
system.
on accrual basis. Means it has no relation with cash receipts and cash payments. To represent the fair view of your financial performance for the investor to look into and for future cash flows to be forecasted. That's the purpose. Now, this purpose is achieved by the accrual basis. Now, when the tax payment comes, your accounting income as per the IFRS is your basis, and there are many unrealized gains which are part of the accounting income, and you have to pay 9% on that, and that will be in many cases too much of cash outgo. So of course there is a provision in the corporate tax law. That's why I say UAE corporate tax law is fair in every way. A small tax laws of 70 articles, but has given everything to make business comfortable. So they have given an option that for assets and liabilities where you have booked the unrealized gain or losses, if those assets and liabilities have been accounted on fair value or impairment accounting is applicable, you can elect to pay tax on realization basis. Only when you sell or only when you settle it, then you pay it. All the capital accounts item of assets and liabilities, you can choose to pay on realization basis. And this is where the complexities of the financial accounting comes, and that's where the expertise of IFRS knowledge, tax consultant comes into picture. Any company even if there are qualified CFOs and experienced CFO, they need a tax expert from outside to tackle this in the first year itself.
Talk compliance, yes, will continue.
Talk 100.3.
Welcome back to Daybreak, and yes, this hour is known as Talk Compliance. We are in conversation with CA Hemant Mundra, and now coming back to you, we're talking about deductible expenditures where interest is concerned, right? Taxable income in purview of obviously corporate tax. Now, although with a couple of limitations, there's approximately 30% or something like that. Now, is the interest as defined in corporate tax and in IFRS different? Are both two subjects quite different from each other?
They are not quite different from each other, but the detailing with which the interest has been defined and enumerated in the corporate tax law is quite good compared to IFRS. And IFRS, of course, based on principles, so they will not go into detail of defining it. So if I say IFRS, the interest is called borrowing cost. Correct. And borrowing cost, when you bring an asset into existence from construction or production, everything you capitalize as part of it, and whatever is not going into the construction or bringing the assets alive is expensed out in the P&L. So IFRS diverts the interest into two parts, one to balance sheet and one to P&L. In case of corporate tax, because companies may then heavily borrow and have a high interest expenditure, which will erode the tax base for the authorities. So that's how internationally there is a capping rule on the interest. So every year one can only claim 30% of the EBITDA, that is earning before interest, tax and depreciation, and the remaining 70% they can carry forward for the next 10 years.
Okay.
So this gives a balance to authorities so that companies do their debt and equity structure properly. At the same time, authorities' tax base is not eroded by unprudent borrowing, which may harm the business and also harm the authorities in tax collection.
Superb. You know, the terms like global minimum tax and sustainable reporting, artificial intelligence, big data, and big words and phrases, do they relate or have any sync with IFRS and UAE corporate tax?
Yeah, definitely. Corporate tax and UAE economy. Today's report also, if you see, the COP28 is in UAE from November 30 to December 15th or 12th.
Right.
And the importance of climate change, only one part of the sustainability campaign which UAE is part of. That means companies are required to now comply with the requirement of climate change as part of their sustainability reporting.
Okay.
And as you previously asked, how many IFRS are there for accounting? There are 40 plus.
Wow.
Similarly, for sustainability reporting, which is part of climate change, there are two standards already issued for companies to report on their sustainability risk and opportunities, and also the disclosure about what they are doing about sustainability. And what does it mean? It means compliance, and compliance has a cost, and cost is what
can be included as one of the expense.
Yes, of course.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Artificial intelligence, and we talk about, Tally Solutions providing that platform. And how is AI technology going to help in terms of reporting?
It is already helping in a small way, and then big data, artificial intelligence are already playing a big part in us. Big data needs artificial intelligence models to create more data.
Correct.
Artificial intelligence need big data to develop more intelligence, so they go hand in hand. And accounting is the repetitive tasks are going to be already being handled. Now on a mass scale, this will come into picture because of the availability and commercial viability of it. And when this happens, accounting standard also will evolve. Means the digital compliance, the controls, the procedures in a company also has to be defined and redefined and revisited, and all this has a compliance cost.
You also mentioned about disclosures, right? So have the corporate tax laws in the UAE drawn upon this from the IFRS or the corporate tax?
See, disclosure is a tool by which you say your intent and your decision and judgment criteria to the reader of the balance sheet or the financial statements.
Correct.
That's one part. Now, like the VAT law, which is self-assessed law, self-assessed return file. Corporate tax is also a self-assessment. FTA is not going to come and say, now show me your accounting income and how you arrived at. You have to self-assess and declare and pay the tax. Now, when this much responsibility and reliability has been put on the businesses, so what FTA will require? That you keep all your records, all your transactions, all your emails, every SMS which is part of it. Now business are done on WhatsApp, you have to keep it. And in that light, they have amended the tax procedures law, which is effective from 1st August 2023. So even when I receive an SMS from FTA, even if I receive anything, that's also part of the record maintenance. So disclosures of IFRS and the record keeping of the tax laws go hand in hand.
आपके पास कोई भी सवाल है सीए हेमंत हमारे साथ 0586861003 आप व्हाट्सएप कर सकते हैं. दिस इज टॉक कंप्लायंस ब्रॉट यू बाय टैली सॉल्यूशंस.
Talk 100.3.
9:51 विवेक एंड म्यूरल आपके साथ एंड वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट IFRS एज वेल विद सीए हेमंत. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल भी आए हैं लोगों के, वो हम ट्राई करेंगे आपसे पूछने के लिए, लेकिन वी हैड टू आस्क यू दिस. जब मेरे प्रोफेशनल फ्रेंड्स जब भी इंडिया में हमारी बात होती है, दे ऑलवेज मेंशन कि द डिफरेंस बिटवीन टैक्सेबल प्रॉफिट एंड बुक प्रॉफिट, कि डेप्रिसिएशन रेट्स आर डिफरेंट फॉर अकाउंटिंग एंड टैक्स लॉज इन इंडिया. तो इज इट द सेम हियर इन यूएई एज वेल, कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स लॉ रेजिम के अंडर?
No, the tax authorities have not defined any specific rates under the corporate tax law. So whatever your accounting depreciation, you will continue to take it. And what is in India is Indian tax laws have evolved before the accounting standards came into picture. And India is a different economy. So that's how the asset items have been defined separately for tax purpose. UAE will rely on the accounting standards depreciation, which is based on economic life of the asset, which each business is free to determine according to the type and usage of the asset they put them into.
ना नितिन का हमें सवाल आया है, no audit report is required for turnover below 20 million for companies incorporated for visa only and not, we were discussing about this, right?
Correct.
For companies incorporated for visa only and not having any transaction, there is technically no requirement to make IFRS report. The report will be nil. Now, how far is this true, CA Hemant? Because 20 million के अंडर अगर turnover है, तो audit report की जरूरत ही नहीं है.
Like, first of all, 20 million is not the figure. 50 million is the figure to have the audited report. Okay. Now, don't confuse and mingle audited report with the IFRS based accounts. IFRS based accounts, every company has to prepare. And which company will have no cost or zero cost? At least the company has been formed. There is a license cost.
Correct. 20,000 every year, for example.
Formation cost,
Right.
at least the investor visa cost.
Right.
Plus some other costs are always there. A flexi desk
So
cost.
visa is also an expense you can add?
Yeah.
Okay.
The owner's visa you can always add as part of the business. That's for business purpose.
Right. Now, CA Hemant, tax group, qualifying group, transfer of tax loss criteria, vice versa, IFRS principle of parent subsidiary and their accounts consolidation. How different are they from a simple perspective?
See, like in a consolidated accounts as per IFRS, the groups are defined not generally based on number, like 50% or 51%, based on the control. Control one can have based on only on 2% shareholding by other means. And then even you are qualified to consolidate your more than one companies under one umbrella that way. But in corporate tax, it is based on percentage. So if one has to form a tax group, the parent company has to own at least 95% of this subsidiary company, or company B, A has to own the 95% of company B to be called parent and subsidiary to form that's for the tax group. Now, qualifying group is a relief transaction. So if two entities are in a qualifying group, they can sell assets and liabilities at no gain or no loss in a deeming provision. So no tax has to be paid. But to be a member of a qualifying group, either company A has to own 75% minimum of company B, or another company has to own 75% of A and 75% of B as a common ownership. Then A and B are in a qualifying group. So that's qualifying group is a purely corporate tax phenomena, not the IFRS phenomena.
Okay.
And tax losses are different than your book losses, because you take the accounting profit, then you deduct what is allowed and what is not allowed, reliefs and tax losses and everything. So your taxable income on which you pay 9% is going to be different than the
Your book
accounting
profit,
income.
yeah.
So your tax losses are also going to be different than your accounting losses.
Superb. For more such amazing insights, आप CA हेमंत को contact कर सकते हो on LinkedIn. Are you available on LinkedIn?
Yes, yes.
So the spelling is CAHEMMNTH Mundra.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. CA may not be there. Hemant Mundra is there.
Hemant Mundra. That is HEMMNTH Hemant Mundra. CA Hemant, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for this session.
Thank you very much, Vivek and Muriel, and also the Talk 100.3. And thank you, listeners, for listening and asking good questions and interesting, simple questions, but still relevant.